Welcome back, everyone, to Behind the Arc Basketball. What an incredible March Madness tournament it has been. Crazy upsets all over the place, and now we're here to the Final Four for the 2021 NCAA Tournament. It's been awesome covering play-by-play of college basketball games throughout the season, throughout the March Madness tournament, and I cannot wait to cover these Final Four games for you guys. So in this video, I'll be previewing the second Final Four matchup between the number 11 seed, the UCLA Bruins, versus the overall number 1 seed, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Tip-off time is slated for 8:14 p.m. Eastern Time. Now for UCLA's path to get here to the Final Four, we'll take a look at this one as what a story for the Bruins. UCLA was the last team in the tournament. They lost the last 4 straight games to close out the season, and now the Bruins in the tournament are 5-0, going from the first 4 all the way to the Final Four. It marked the second time only that the first 4 team has gone to the Final Four, that being VCU back in 2011, coached by Shaka Smart. UCLA became the 5th number 11 seed to go to the Final Four, LSU in 1986, George Mason in 2006, VCU in 2011, and the Cinderella Loyola Chicago Ramblers in 2018. To get here, 5-0 UCLA in the tournament, knocked off in the first 4, number 11 seeded Michigan State 86-80 in overtime. UCLA at one point in that game trailed by 14 points in the first half. They came back. Aaron Henry for Michigan State, he shot an air ball in the final possession for the Spartans. It what set the game into the overtime session, and that's where UCLA got the W, closed it out in the overtime session. In the first round, UCLA knocked off the number 6 seed, BYU 73-62. BYU had an off game from the perimeter, shot the ball just 3 for 17 from three-point range. In the second round, UCLA knocked off the number 14 seed Abilene Christian 67-47, as UCLA did not match up with the 3-seeded Texas Longhorns, since Abilene Christian, able to pull off the upset over Texas in the first half, forced the Longhorns into 23 total turnovers. In the Sweet 16, UCLA knocked off the number 2 seed Alabama Crimson Tide 88-78 in an unbelievable game there, as Alabama left off 14 points off the board at the free throw line. They went 11 for 25 at the free throw line. And also, Alabama was held at just 7 for 28 from three-point range, 25%, for a team that made 16 three-point shots in the previous game against Maryland. And then in the Elite 8, UCLA knocked off the number 1 seed Michigan 51-49. The defense, a big key to this story for the Bruins. They controlled tempo in that game, and they held Michigan to just 39% shooting from the floor. Johnny Juzang carried the Bruins by scoring 28 points and making 11 shots. Now we'll take a look here at Gonzaga's path to get to the Final Four. 30-0, the road to perfection. They are on the quest, as it has continued here for Gonzaga, on the quest for the first ever national title for the Bulldogs. Second Final Four appearance for Gonzaga's first Final Four appearance was back in 2017. In the first round, Gonzaga destroying Norfolk State, the 16 seed, 98-55. In the second round, Gonzaga knocked off the number 8 seed Oklahoma, 87-71. Austin Reeves for the Sooners scored 27 points, carried Oklahoma, but the Zags too much to handle in that matchup. In the Sweet 16, Gonzaga knocked off the number 5 seed Creighton, 83-65. And then in the Elite 8, Gonzaga beat the number 6 seed USC Trojans 85-66. USC gave away that game right at the very start there, as Drew Timme got back-to-back steals to open up the game. Gonzaga got out to a 5-0 lead in the first minute and a half. And Gonzaga's defensive pressure, along with USC's zone defense not having enough time to never get a chance to set up, didn't really give USC a chance in that game. Now we're going to take a look here at first UCLA with their strength heading into this matchup. One of their key strengths here, the reason why they're here, is through point guard play, taking care of the basketball, limiting turnovers. That has been a big key here for the Bruins throughout this tournament. As UCLA, they have earned their right to be here in the Final Four through guard play, taking care of the basketball. Bruins are 14th nationally, averaging just over 10 turnovers per game. Point guard Tiger Campbell leads UCLA with over 5 assists per game, as Tiger Campbell in this tournament has 20 total assists to just 6 turnovers in his 5 tournament games. UCLA has never turned over the basketball more than 9 times throughout the tournament as well, and they played an extra game compared to everybody else with 5 games since they played in the play-in. The Bruins have forced 59 turnovers during the tournament and have only committed 36 turnovers in their last 5 games. With UCLA's key ball handling, comes their ability to control tempo of the game. That's what UCLA will see to do. If they can keep it close to Gonzaga and see somehow if they can make stops in this game, because UCLA is going to rely on controlling tempo. They're 338 slowest offense per adjusted tempo per KenPom for UCLA. So, of course, defense going to have to be a major factor here, making stops against #1 shooting team in the nation, #1 scoring team with Gonzaga, and that's where we're going to get to Gonzaga's main strength here as well. That happens to be scoring and shooting, the offense for Gonzaga in general, #1 in the nation, as Gonzaga just the polar opposite from UCLA per adjusted tempo. Per KenPom, Gonzaga is 6th nationally in fastest adjusted offensive tempo. The Bulldogs currently have the nation's top offensive unit, averaging just under 92 points per game, shooting over 54% from the floor. Gonzaga's offense, it is just so tough to defend with the motion and the tempo that they run. You got to have your defense set and ready. That's what UCLA will need to do, because USC struggled with that in the last game. Because once you lose your man, it's basically an easy 2 like that right on the scoreboard for Gonzaga. So UCLA at all times here to stop Gonzaga. They have to be focused, locked in defensively at all times to stand a chance into this game. Now the front court defense for UCLA, that's going to be a concern going up against Gonzaga. Gonzaga has the #1 2-point shooting team nationally in the nation. Gonzaga will always constantly attack inside, slip backdoor cuts to the basket with their offense. They're also going to see if they can draw fouls as well from UCLA, as I think Gonzaga's around like top 20 in the nation when it comes to opponents committing fouls inside the interiors. UCLA, undersized in the front court. They're going to be tested going up against the #1 shooting team in the nation, defending the interior, going up against Drew Timme. That leads to another big strength here for Gonzaga. Happens to be the size and the rebounding, especially inside with Drew Timme in this game, as he's going to have that size advantage. Drew Timme in the interior is going to make things difficult, I feel like, for UCLA in this game. Timme has the chance to be the tournament's most outstanding player as well, as Timme in the tournament here, he is averaging 21.3 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, and he has made over 61% of his shots during the tournament. As for Gonzaga here, they're also a terrific rebounding team, not only just because of Drew Timme, but also because of the terrific rebounding guard of Joel Ayayi. 6'5" guard Ayayi, and he is averaging over 7 rebounds per game this season, along with Drew Timme. Gonzaga's top 15 nationally when it comes to defensive rebounds per game. They have dominated the glass throughout the tournament, out-rebounding opponents 155 to 105, a plus 50 on the glass through 4 tournament games. And also, they keyed in on the glass, and they were a plus 11 on the glass over USC in the last game, 38 to 27, which USC happened to be the #1 rebounding team in the Pac-12, led by the Mobley brothers inside the front court. That's where USC has struggled throughout the tournament, has been on the glass. They were -10 against Michigan on the glass. They're currently combined a -7 on the glass through 5 NCAA tournament games. 175 rebounds for UCLA compared to 182 for the Bruins opponents. Now I'll go back to UCLA right here. One of their key strengths, look at #2, has been their shot selection. This is why they're here. Offensively for UCLA, to have a chance against Gonzaga, the Bruins are going to have to make the most out of their opportunities, knocking down shots from the floor. And throughout their tournament, their shot selection for UCLA, it has been absolutely outstanding. The Bruins, they've shown patience. They passed up low percentage shots by making the extra pass and taking a better shot instead, an open look, and knocking it down for UCLA. So UCLA, what they're going to do, try to melt clock if they can somehow stay in the game, get stops here. And they're going to have, as they've in this tournament, they've had multiple possessions that they use in the entire shot clock to get quality looks. If they don't fall behind early in this game, they're going to see if they can do that. As for the third piece here for their strength, it has been this player who's on an absolute tear in the tournament. Johnny Juzang, he is on a roll. He is averaging 21.6 points per game throughout the tournament. He is shooting 42 for 88 from the floor. Over 47% of his shots have been made here, and he has been a star for this Bruins team. They're just going to need more players to step up for UCLA to compete against Gonzaga in this game, because it cannot just be Juzang in this game like it was against Michigan, scoring over half of his team's points. Offensively, Jaime Jaquez, he has been UCLA's second most effective scorer in the tournament behind Juzang. Jaquez scored in double figures during the first 4 tournament games. He only managed to score 4 points, though, against Michigan. So offensively for UCLA, they're going to need all hands on deck in this game for everybody to contribute, step up, and make this a game against Gonzaga. And for Gonzaga here, they just have multiple key players. They're just such a complete team for Gonzaga. And they have multiple players every single game this season that finish in double figures in scoring. So UCLA needs to match that, what Gonzaga has in that game. I feel like that's going to be quite tough for them. It's going to be quite the challenge for the Bruins. As back to Gonzaga here. Talk about the unselfishness when it comes to spreading the basketball around. That is what the Bulldogs thrive upon. Their passing. Key passing, as Gonzaga is second nationally with over 18 assists per game. Everyone gets involved in the offense, touches the ball, shares the ball. What makes a complete team right here so balanced for the Zags. Just incredible season that they have had here. Just multiple players can produce here, and Gonzaga give opposing defenses all fits and problems. Big man Drew Timme, he has made 65% of his shots throughout the season. He finished with a massive double-double, 30 and 13 against Oklahoma. Over to the sharpshooter Corey Kispert, averaging just under 19 points per game this season. He is the ultimate leader on this team, shooting the ball over 45% from three-point range this season. And then add in freshman point guard Jalen Suggs, the quarterback of the offense, projected to be a top 5 NBA draft pick. Incredible on-court vision that Suggs has, athleticism, lockdown defender, scrappy defender, as he came close to a triple-double in his last game against USC, scoring 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. And then they have a terrific rebounding guard here with Joel Ayayi, averaging almost 8 rebounds per game during the tournament for a 6'5" guard. And then Andrew Nembhard, 6th man of the WCC this season. He moved up to a starter during the second part of the season for the transfer from Florida. Nembhard scored 17 points and had 8 assists versus Creighton. And then off the bench add in Anton Watson and Aaron Cook as well to this Zags lineup. So as for Gonzaga here, not really. Basically, they have a weakness, if not all, is that the only thing that UCLA might have to do in this game is, the only thing I saw from Gonzaga was that first half against BYU where Trevin Knell, he made 5 triples in that game, put up BYU 53-41 at halftime. So UCLA is going to have to be spot on in this game with their shot selection if they want to have a chance at Gonzaga in this one. But either way, Gonzaga was able to put a stop to BYU's perimeter attack in the second half in the WCC championship game, and they went from being down by 12 at halftime to winning by 10 points. So just shows how tremendous this Gonzaga team has been this season. And Creighton, they did have looks. They had open shots that they took against Gonzaga. They just could not connect from the perimeter. They were 5 for 23 in the outside and just could not connect in that game. So for UCLA, somehow make this a game. They're going to match Gonzaga and basically knock down as many shots as possible to stay in this game. So main deciding factors for this one look like this. Number 1, UCLA just cannot lose focus when down early and hand this game over to Gonzaga, just like USC did. USC never had a chance once they turned over the basketball twice in the first minute. UCLA's ability to go on runs during a tournament, this has been key for them. Even though they found themselves down against Alabama, down against Michigan State, their ability to go on runs, it has been huge. It seems like the game has slipped away for UCLA, but no, their team just never loses focus. They were down by 14 against Michigan State, came back and win. Alex Reese drilled a game-tying 3-point shot forced to overtime for Alabama. UCLA didn't lose focus, even though the Crimson Tide had all the momentum heading into the OT session. And guess what? UCLA outscores Alabama 23-13 in OT, which has helped fuel this run here, is that this team is tough for the Bruins. And they have yet to lose focus here, and they're going to have to keep on staying focused into this matchup against Gonzaga. And number 2 for a big key in this one for UCLA has to be to beat Gonzaga. Going to have to play perfect basketball in this game for the Bruins. Going to have to start off the game strong, not turn over the basketball, which they're capable of doing, as they don't turn it over often. And they're going to have to make enough defensive stops, which is just so difficult going up against Gonzaga's number 1 offensive attack, something that no team has done this season. Gonzaga has knocked off 29 out of their 30 games that they have played have been by 10 points or more. The only game that was single digits was against West Virginia back in December. And for UCLA to stay in this game, they're going to have to get stops, hope to control tempo, and hope for Gonzaga that they basically have a rare off game in this one. Because if Gonzaga takes a quick lead, it's going to be tough for the Bruins to come back, especially with a tempo style of offense that UCLA is used to. To pull off the unexpected here, going to have to just hope that Gonzaga has an off game in the Final Four. So that's going to lead me to my predictions for this one. And for this prediction here, I will take the Zags, as they will continue their strive for perfection, as the Storybook Tournament Cinderella finish for UCLA. It's going to end here, I predict, in the Final Four. Gonzaga just on a whole nother level. I've been just so impressed by Gonzaga here. I had them as my tournament champion all the way since that game they took on Kansas back on Thanksgiving. Ever since then, I've been just so impressed by this team here and stuck with them to win the national championship for my prediction. Gonzaga, they're going to strive for perfection here, move on to the title game for my prediction, as Drew Timme, I think he's going to be a huge factor in this one inside the interior to have a major impact on this matchup. That's where I like the Zags in this one, 81-65 over UCLA. So that's a wrap to this video, everybody. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe to my channel. Also, let me know your score predictions to the Final Four matchup here for this one as well down in the comments section below. Also, I'll be covering play-by-play of both Final Four games and the national championship game as well. So make sure to check out my play-by-play live streams. I would highly recommend it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, as this is Behind the Arc Basketball.